Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where, as you can see, perfection is a work in progress. This week, I am joined by my co-host, Jessica. Jessica, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. And our esteemed analyst this week are Samuel. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
Doing just as good as you look. And our other analyst, Tarik. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you, buddy?
This is going to be a great week. I can feel it. As always, Pardon Our Picks is brought to you by Morningwood Crafter, inspired by design, crafted by hand, and into deep. They're taking a couple of weeks off, folks, but you can catch them again on November 27th. So be tuned in to us to catch more updates on that show. So, Jessica, what kind of outlooks do you have for this coming week?
I think there's going to be some really good matchups this week. Maybe some bounce backs and some crazy almost underdog stories coming out of places that people aren't expecting them. But the real question this week is, what effect is the Derrick Henry injury going to have on the Titans' chances? Sam?
Oh, man. Thank you for coming to me first. I'm flattered, as always. Listen, the Derrick Henry injury, I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on their offense as a whole, but I don't think it's going to have a very big impact on their record at the end of the season. They're still going to have a great record, but they're going to end up forcing Tannehill to start throwing the ball a little bit more. He hasn't been very good throwing the ball this year. A couple of games he's been okay, but given the fact that he just hasn't had a big connection with Julio, who they did acquire this year, I think he's going to have to work a little harder at that. And I think the more opportunities is going to allow that connection to flourish a bit. So offensive wise, I think that's going to be the biggest impact.
Okay. Tarik?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Sam said. It's going to be Daniel has the weapons to use. They're just not used to using them. The main effect is going to be Derrick Henry usually open it up so Tannehill can make those throws. So they're going to have to figure out a different game plan because they're not going to get as much. The opposing offense or opposing defense going to focus more on the receiving game because they know. So I don't know. I mean, there's no timeline for him to come back, so they'll have to assume he's not.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's going to affect him too much overall. It'll come down a little bit, but we'll see what the OC can come up with. See if they can get anybody off of. I know trade line ended today, but we'll see what they can do.
I've got to disagree with both of you. I think this is the end of the Titans season. Julio Jones, he's been in and out of the lineup with injury. Yes, A.J. Brown's been putting up great numbers this year, but they're now in a stretch of really difficult games with really good defenses. And this week, they're going up against the Rams, who have just a star-studded defense with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and now Von Miller. So I don't think this is really going to be the week to see that impact because I think that defense is just going to control the game from the start. But I don't think it's going to be pretty for the Titans in the next 10 games.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that it's a pretty huge loss for the Titans. I mean, Derrick Henry, there is no comparison to anyone else in that position. I would have to say I don't think it's going to be a season ender for the Titans. I think that they're still going to beat several of their opponents, but I think the focus is going to be on improving Ryan Tannehill's accuracy. He's been throwing way too many interceptions when he is throwing the ball, but they just acquired Adrian Peterson to the practice squad. We'll see if anything comes out of that. I think they're still going to try to stack the box and run the ball as much as they can because I don't think Tannehill is reliable enough in that position, even with Julio Jones, if that were to work out. So we'll see what happens.
So from a team potentially falling in the standings, let's see how our experts did last week in our picks. Oh man, this was a rough week for everyone across the board. Tom getting that fabled 6-9 record. A lot of us flirting with 500. Brian and Tarik actually tying for first place this week with a 9-6 record, pulling at second place trophy even closer to that three-way tie. But Sam still with that 4-game lead over Jessica and myself.
It was a bad week for me. 7-8, under 500 first time.
It was a tough week for everybody.
That was a just overall bad week. There were so many upsets, so many key injuries that happened across the board. That was a tough week to predict, and I'm surprised most of us are over 500.
I'm surprised I got as good as I was dreading looking at the standings tonight. So,
I mean, it was an impressive 9-6. There were a lot of people struggled, so 9-6 wasn't a bad record last week. And so many crazy upsets, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about your boy? What? Brady, what do you think about your boy's meme from Aaron Rodgers' face?
Oh, I mean, it's the greatest meme to come out of the NFL this year. But how is that indicative of his play? I guess we'll see when we get to the picks, when we start with Jessica's game of the week.
So this week I chose the Bengals Cleveland game because as a Ravens fan, this is a huge, huge game for me. I think it's going to be a good game because I think they're both trying to bounce back from pretty ugly losses. The upset being the Bengals last week against the Jets, I believe, and Cleveland and Pittsburgh. They're coming off of another divisional game where they lost to, in my opinion, a team that should be worse than them. I'm going to ultimately pick the Bengals in this one. I think that they're a more consistent team. There's much better weapons on the Bengals with Joe Burrow having his matchup with Jamar Chase, Mixon, Higgins. I mean, they're just when they get targeted, they do not let down. And I don't think Cleveland's secondary is going to be able to handle that. I think it'll be a good game, though. I think it will be within a touchdown for most of the game, and it may come down to the last 2 minutes. So the Cincinnati Bengals for this game at home against the Cleveland Browns.
Tarik, who do you have in this game?
I am going with the upset. I'm going with Cleveland on this one. We'll see what happens. Cincinnati always brings it tough with the home division. We saw what they did with the Ravens a couple weeks ago. So is Baker Mayfield back to full? Okay, so that makes a difference there. Then backup QB. So I think they'll just be able to squeak it out. I agree with Jess. It's going to be close. I think a touchdown sounds good. But I think Cleveland's going to come to town and then and take it to the house against Cincinnati.
What about you, Sam?
I'm not gonna lie, those divisional games they're hard to predict. Any division where you have two pretty good teams is playing against each other. You're always gonna have a hard time picking the winner of that game. I think Cleveland got embarrassed last week against the Steelers, but they seem to always have an issue with the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, for some reason, there's certain teams that you have a hard time getting over the hump, even though they beat them in the playoffs last year. Sometimes just have a hard time with it. The Bengals, however, going against that Jets team was fired up. They were ready to play. And the Bengals overlooked them to this week. And that was their mistake. I think both of these teams are looking for the bounce back, but I actually have the upset in this one too. The Cleveland Browns with a close victory.
How about you, Brady?
I went back and forth on this game up until I just started talking here. Everyone here made great points. I mean, both of these teams are coming off of really just embarrassing losses. I mean, any loss to the Jets is embarrassing, and any loss when you only score 10 points at home is awful in and of itself. I'm ultimately picking the Bengals in this one. I don't think Baker Mayfield's 100% healthy, and he probably shouldn't be starting this game. But the main thing that I took away from their loss last week was their inability to run the ball without that two-headed monster with Chubb and Hunt. Ernest Johnson, he looks great by himself, but I don't think that he's a good complement to Nick Chubb. So I think the Bengals are going to be able to pull this one away at home.
Okay.
I mean, since I'm talking, we might as well go to my game of the week. And my game of the week probably is going to be the ugliest game of the week, is, I like to call them. So I've picked the Atlanta Falcons against the New Orleans Saints. Now, both of these teams are kind of enigmas, I feel like, going into this game. One week, the Falcons look like a really good offense and a really bad defense. And the next week, they just look like a really bad organization. And the Saints are putting up an average, I think, of like 17 points a game, but they're 5-2. So how are the Saints going to be able to play without Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback, suffering that horrific injury last week? I don't know. So I have picked the Atlanta Falcons in this game in a road victory because I don't think that the Saints offense is going to be able to do enough to put points on the board.
How about you, Sam?
Look at this game and I see two things. I see a quarterback who, if anybody saw the pictures of it, had an extremely bloodied left hand, non-throwing hand, and who played through it, put a glove on afterwards. He actually looked okay last week up until that point. I think maybe the whole injury maybe messed with him a little bit. He'll have a week to get over that. The Saints, however, with the big victory last week against Tampa Bay, even with Trevor Siemian coming in to make those throws, he may be their answer as opposed to Jameis Winston, who is out for the season, of course. But the Saints defense, I think, is just going to be a little too much, and it's weird to say Saints defense, a little too much for that Atlanta Falcons team. I have them going to 6-2 this week.
Jess?
I'm actually also going to take the Saints. I just think that they bounce back a little bit better. Yeah, it's kind of crazy how little points that they've been scoring and still getting a winning record out of that. I think it's going to be a close game, though, and I think Matt Ryan should look really good. I'm assuming he's starting. Yeah. Okay.
Matt Ryan, yeah.
I didn't know if there was an injury. Yeah.
Well,
no,
non-throwing hand, so he should be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan will look good. I don't think the Saints defense is going to really contain them that well. Maybe not as well as you think, Sam, but I do think that the Saints will be 6-2 after this week. And unfortunately, the Falcons will be 3-5. Tarik?
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying I have the Saints as well. Partially just to irritate Brady. But no, I had
that game.
I had these picked before our recording tonight. But yeah, Trevor Siemian looked okay last week. I seem to recall watching Trevor Siemian play with the Denver Broncos. He had trouble getting going. We'll see how he goes if he's confirmed as the starter for next week. See how he does for the whole game. I think the Saints just have a couple more pieces in play than Atlanta does. Atlanta's got Matt Ryan. But I think the Saints are going to be able to pull away with this one. But to echo Brady, I just don't know with Trevor Siemian. If they got the other pieces in play, it'll help. But we'll see. So I'm going with the Saints. So.
Well, something I can't wait to see is your game of the week, Tarik. So take it away.
So my game of the week, which should make Brady very happy, which I'm trying to make him angry and make him happy at the same time. I don't know how that works. I've got the Packers and the Chiefs. So this should be an interesting matchup. You got Aaron Rodgers with their win last week. You got Chiefs who have not looked good. They've not looked like themselves. They're sitting at 500 right now. So it kind of I think the Packers are going to pull away with this. They got momentum. They're on the upward swing. They're fulfilling Brady's prophecy. But Kansas City, we'll see. I think they're gonna bounce back at some point. Is this that game for them to finally fill it in? I don't think so. So I think they don't have their pieces that they got in place yet to go against Green Bay. That's kind of hitting on more cylinders. So I'm going Green Bay.
I'm going to agree with Tarik. Green Bay has looked really good this year. And Kansas City, I'm going to go on record as saying this because I already said it in our first video of the year. They are not a good team this year. They have looked absolutely abysmal in almost every game that they have played. The defense has been porous. The offense has been mistake prone. And I think that even one mistake against an Aaron Rodgers-led squad who's going to be at full health this week with Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard, that one mistake is going to put you behind 2 scores, especially with that defense. I don't think it's going to be close as much as I would love to see this game go blow for blow, but I think Green Bay is going to run away with this one. Jessica?
Yeah, so I want this to be such a good game because, there's some bad blood here, right? There was some embarrassment in the past, some games that we didn't expect to go this way between these two. But the Kansas City Chiefs, they just look, oh my God, bad, I guess is the best encompassing word for that.
Pedestrian, maybe?
I mean, they have, watching them play this week, there were so many missed tackles, that non-efforts even on defense. The offensive struggles were absolutely insane. I'm watching Patrick Mahomes, scramble, extend the play, and make a very good pass that hits the player in the chest, and it's not caught. It's deflected for an interception. So we've been seeing this week after week. And the other thing is I feel like the Chiefs are trying too hard to rely on what they used to be and throw the ball too much. They need to find a way to run the ball. Their record is much better when they run the ball more than 25 times in a game. And they actually, them winning this week, barely, was they rushed the ball 27 times. So it's 3-1 when they rush over 25 times. But Devontae Adams is coming back. No way. Yeah, it's Green Bay, unfortunately. I don't like to say that because I feel like the douchebaggery of Aaron Rodgers is just increasing every week. And
he does have a man bun now. He does have a man bun.
I know. It's getting that. I used to be an Aaron Rodgers fan, and I'm not.
All right. Don't be increasing the douchebagginess of our show here, Brady.
Yeah.
Well, not to call him a douchebag, but Sam, what do you have in this game?
Oh, man. Listen, I looked at this game and I thought 2 things. One, the Chiefs look absolutely pedestrian the past few weeks. And at some point that's gonna turn around. And 2, Green Bay off of that high of beating an undefeated team last week. Now, given they're a fairly veteran team, they should be used to that. However, Kansas City's a different animal. Gore, that running back at Kansas City, no relation to Frank. He's different Gore, Derek Gore, if I'm not mistaken. Looks kind of like Frank Gore. Same height, same build, same power, it seems. He was making cuts and running through holes last week, making the Giants look pretty bad. And the Giants' defense is actually pretty good this year. Their offense is putrid, but their defense is pretty good. And they were making them look, and the running game was looking really good. And unfortunately, of course, Mahomes was making mistakes and running for his life, as Jessica alluded to. Green Bay, however, won without a couple of receivers. Yeah. Allen Lazard was out. Devontae Adams was out. And, of course, now their tight end is out for the season, Robert Tonyan. Not going to bode well for them. I have a sneaking suspicion that Kansas City is going to win this game, but I got to pick the 7-1 Packers.
I'm in the same boat where, like I really want to pick Kansas City, and I feel like they could, but for me to stay close in these picks, I'm not doing that.
You feel like they could just explode this week.
They could. It's Andy Reid.
That's the thing with that team is they're a powder keg. You're just waiting for it to explode. But I feel like after the Ravens game, they don't know what to do anymore. And like Jess said, they're forcing the issue. But
Andy Reid eventually will figure it out. I mean, it's Andy Reid.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe.
Is it this week?
If they can shut up Mahomes' fiance and brother, then maybe they'll do something.
Not happening. Speaking of not shutting up, Sam, what's your game of the week?
Well, as you all know, I never really do a game of the week, but I'm feeling a bit of a rush this week. Oh man,
it's the weight lifted off your shoulders of being a host.
It was a pun, Jess. It was a bit of a pun because Cooper Rush was the quarterback last week at the Cowboys, and he won that game.
Too, you remember that?
What?
You were hating on him.
No, I mean, he hadn't started a game yet. He'd been in the league for like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And I didn't think
he backtrack, had. Sam.
No.
Own it. Own your hatred. Own it.
I'm absolutely 100% saying that if I had made that pick on the video, I would have changed it last week. But I made the pick on the video and I stuck with it. I picked the Cowboys and they won. I got lucky.
That would be lucky good.
Yes. But Cooper Rush had a great game. Is that indicative of the offense around him? Maybe. That offense has been really good this year. He was 23 of 40, I believe, for 325 yards and a touchdown, or a couple of touchdowns. One interception, though, which, he threw it in kind of nerves, I guess, maybe. And with a little luck, they did go down the field and win that game. That pass that Cooper caught on the way down the sideline bounced off the defender's chest, and he caught it in the air. So that helped a little bit. Now, Denver, of course, getting the win last week. Back to 4-4. Finally off the schneid. There were 4 straight losses for them, but they are at 4-4 right now. They're not a bad team, but seeing as Dak Prescott will be back this week, I don't think that Denver stands a chance. Dallas with a big victory.
I gotta agree. Denver seems like they're in full rebuild mode after trading Von Miller and trading away someone who they just drafted this year or last draft. Granted, they were a 7th round pick, but they never saw the field, traded them away to try and stock up on some draft picks. Now that Dallas is going to be firing on all cylinders, I don't think this is going to be a great game. I think it's going to be a great game for Cowboys fans, but this is going to be a landslide victory for the Cowboys.
Tarik?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this game at all.
I'll be shooting you text messages all week, Tarik.
Please don't. I mean, yes, I'd love to hear from you, but yeah, Brady hit it on the head. So Denver has realized they're circling the drain. I saw the Von Miller thing yesterday. And I'm like, yep, all right. So someone's had enough. I don't think Vic Fangio is going to be there next season because they started off great and then they just crap the bed here. So they're just trying to save themselves at this point. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think they're just trying to salvage a season just to get something. They're at 500. We'll see how long they stay that. I haven't looked at the rest of their schedule. But Cowboys, I mean, they're hitting on all cylinders. Dak Prescott is back. As much as I would love for Denver to win, I don't see that they have a chance here. It's Dallas all the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy pick for me too. I'm going with Dallas by, I'd say, at least 10 points. There's too many weapons offensively on Dallas. Even if it's Cooper Rush, even if Dak didn't come back this week, I think all the offensive weapons that they have Denver just can't keep up with right now. They're in a downward spiral. Definitely taking Dallas.
Sorry,
Just
Terry.
wanted to be part of the video.
Me too.
Does.
Me too, Brady. Me too.
Well, let's move on to our next game. And we've got the aforementioned Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans going into LA on Sunday Night Football. Now, this game, if this was last week's game, this could have been one of the top games that I feel like every sports analyst could have talked about until they were blue in the face. But because Derrick Henry is not going to be on the field, I think the Rams are going to dominate this game from minute 1 to minute 60. I think it's not going to be a pretty game. I think Jalen Ramsey is going to come away with this game with at least 2 interceptions, and I have the Rams in a landslide.
All right, yeah. So with this, we were just talking about Von Miller. Von Miller went to the Rams. So you got Von Miller on the Rams, and you got Tennessee without their main running back. So I think it's going to be closer than Brady's saying, but I think LA is going to take this one. They're gonna be winning the whole time, but I don't think it's going to be by too much. But definitely LA in this one.
Look out for McNichols, the backup for Tennessee. That bad boy is going to be running the ball all of like 2 yards at a pop. If that. They may tackle him in the back. They may tackle him before he gets the ball. I don't know. That defensive line looks like a monster. When Derrick Henry was part of the team, it looked like they had a shot. Now, given the Rams last week, if you look at the score, it was 38-22, if I'm not mistaken, against the Houston Texans, a really, really bad team. But you look closer at that game, and you see it was 38-0 in the fourth quarter. And the only reason I got 22 is because the Rams pretty much just said, we're done. Gave up 2 onside kicks, kind of let them score a little bit, make them feel good about themselves. Like the little kid on the playground when he just wants to shoot that hoop and just like, all right, go ahead. Tennessee, however, they do still have other options on offense. Tannehill, I think, will probably be throwing away from Jalen Ramsey this week, but it'll be closer than people think. I believe it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I have the Rams winning this one by, I'll say, about 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, so I'm taking the Rams too, as seems like everyone else is. Shocker.
I know.
The Titans just lost their most powerful weapon and the answer to every problem they ever seem to have. So Tannehill is not going to fill that void in any way, nor is a backup for Derrick Henry.
Go McKissick.
Especially against the Rams defense. It's going to be the Rams by at least 10. And I think I'm being generous when I say that.
I feel bad for Tarik's uncle who lives in Tennessee because he's going to have to sit through us talking bad about his team for this week and possibly the next 6. But as much as I would love to talk about your family more, Tarik, we got to keep moving on.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next game, which happens to be part of our quick hitters. Let's start off with the Jets and the Colts. Both teams looking impressive last week, even though the Colts did lose. I have the Colts in this one. I think that they're going to learn from their mistakes in the last weeks, and they're going to put up some big numbers this week.
Yeah, Colts haven't been able to close, but I think they're going to be able to close on this one, Colts.
Yeah.
Quick, Sam. Quick hitters. Let's go.
Jets off that high. They're going to have a letdown game this week. Colts are going to put up big numbers.
I would love to see White blow it up again. But the Colts are a pretty well-rounded team, even with Wentz doing all of his Wentzisms, throwing some dumb interceptions and, just
Is
doing
there
what
a
he does.
smart interception?
Well, you don't throw it into a crowd of people while you're in the end zone.
True.
That crowd being the opposite team. I'm definitely going with Indy, though. They're going to get back together against the Jets.
Moving on to our next game, we've got the hapless Texans against the hapless Dolphins.
You
Another
can insert
animal.
them.
Tarik, why don't you start us off with this one?
Yeah, so usually we try to decide which one's going to do better. And now this game, I'm like, who's going to do worse? I'm going with Miami. I just think Houston's just that much worse than Miami. So,
Who was Houston's one win? I feel like it was a decent team.
Houston?
Yeah.
I think they won week 1.
They did.
Against nobody remembers.
I'm looking it up now.
I'm looking it up now.
That team was the Jaguars. So, no, not a very good team.
All right, well.
It's not like it was Baltimore or something. Like it's like nope, it's the Jaguars.
Must have been a really good team.
Whatever. Nobody remembered. Yeah, no, I guess I'm gonna go with the Miami Dolphins. It's honestly a toss up. Neither team is doing too hot. But they're gonna make it to 2-7.
Either of these teams could still make the playoffs. Not gonna happen. They could do it. Dolphins for the victory.
Dolphins have more NFL caliber players on their roster, so Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to our next game, we have the 5-2 Las Vegas Raiders going against the surprisingly game New York Giants in New York. Sam, who do you got in this one?
Well, let me start this off by first saying my thoughts go out to the family of the person that Henry Ruggs killed, family and friends. Tragic loss, and quite frankly, it was tragic. That's what it is. I mean, driving drunk at 3-something in the morning and killing somebody, it shouldn't happen. Okay, somebody who's supposed to be responsible. That being said, I think
that's who we are, people. We are a show that cares. Remember that.
We are. I have the Raiders.
Is that your pick?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we were having a moment of silence. I didn't know what was going on.
We are for Sam's pick.
Well,
I'm
Jess, are you
Raiders
picking
too.
opposite?
I am. I'm picking the Giants, actually. I think there's a tiny little baby spark there. And I just think that the Raiders, man, they've had a rough month. So I don't see them winning this one. I know they have stronger players, but I think the Giants might pull this one out.
I'm going with the Raiders on this. I know they keep having blow after blow after blow with personnel and players and everything, but I think they just have a few more weapons, and a baby spark doesn't help a team that's called the Giants. So I'm going with Las Vegas, not LA, LV. That doesn't flow off the tongue well.
I'm going to stick with the majority here. I'm going to pick the Raiders. Coming fresh off that bye week, I think they're just a little bit more healthy. The Giants lost a couple of weapons last night due to injury. So I think Vegas is going to have another bounce back week after they had that, shall we just say, issue with their head coach, and they're going to go ahead to 6-2.
Of course, one programming note: Darren Waller is out for the season.
No, he's not.
Yes, I just came through.
Are you serious?
No.
I was about to...
I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, I don't have any notifications.
Just to let everybody know, Brady just traded for Darren Waller. I was trying to fuck with.
Got me sweating there, Sam. So for that, you get to pick between the New England Patriots and the Carolina Panthers, both of which are sitting at 4-4 and still in playoff contention.
Did you say New Orleans Patriots?
I did, and I corrected myself.
He went New England Patriots. So will I.
Tarik?
I'm Patriots.
Patriots.
Unfortunately, my prediction of Carolina being that sneaky playoff team has failed. So I'm 2 for 3. Patriots defense is really good. Pass this week.
Could have been worse. Could have picked the Jets.
Yeah, that's true. But at least they've got 2 wins now. It's a little bit more respectable.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next game, we have the 5-2 Buffalo Bills going into Duval against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Tough.
Jessica, who do you have in this one?
This is tough. Buffalo.
Man. Jaguar would totally kill a Buffalo in the wild. But the Buffalo Bills are going to run right over these bastards.
They don't even live on the same continent, I don't think. But
Yeah.
I don't think so.
They do.
Yes, they do.
The Jaguars live here.
The Everglades.
That's an alligator. I'm going with Buffalo regardless.
Buffalo. We're moving past this bit.
Just move past it. Just move past it.
Next game. So we have
Damn spotted alligators.
them feline alligators. In this game, we have the 3-4 Minnesota Vikings going into Baltimore fresh off the bye week to face the Baltimore Ravens. Sam, who do you have in this one?
Jesus.
Going back to you.
Baltimore Ravens, of course, without one of their star defensive players. He was shot this week in Cleveland. Non-life threatening, but he was shot by a stray bullet, and we wish him the best. But I still got the Ravens winning this one in a low-scoring game.
Who are you talking about?
You
Malik
did not know
Harrison.
about the Jets? Yeah, Malik Harris. Wait, Harris?
Harrison.
Harrison.
Huh. Well, I am definitely going with the Ravens, coming off of a bye. Overall, even without that, I think that they're a stronger team. Minnesota has a lot of struggles. But yeah, Ravens at home.
Baltimore.
Ravens, you're getting a lot of key pieces back this week off of IR. Ravens in this game. Now, this one could be one for the ages.
This could be an
So,
interesting.
Tarik, I would like you to choose between the 4-3 Los Angeles Chargers and the 3-5 Philadelphia Eagles coming off of that surprise blowout of Detroit that we all picked wrong.
Thank you for digging that one in, Brady.
Have to.
I'm going with LA. This is one of those teams. I'll keep it brief because this is supposed to be a quick hitter. They've looked better than the record shows. So I just think LA is going to be able to pull this out.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chargers. Stronger team, I think. Played a more difficult team last week and just barely lost. So, Chargers.
Chargers by 20.
Wow.
Last week was a fluke for the Eagles. The Lions had that game in the bag. But I got the Chargers this week.
Oh, this one I actually was contemplating on making my game of the week, but we have the last team who was undefeated, the now 7-1 Arizona Cardinals, going into San Francisco to face the Niners. Jess, who do you have in this one?
This is really hard because Deebo Samuel is, amazing. And Garoppolo's back and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Arizona. I think that they need to bounce back from last week. So Arizona.
I don't think San Francisco has a chance here. So
Career game for AJ Green, Arizona.
I'm going to say that the free fall begins here. San Francisco to lose.
Fair enough.
That's right.
Sam's always got to throw those little curveballs in there.
Like, what did he say?
That's right.
Oh man.
Baby.
Oh, Sam, you know what? For that curveball, you can lead this game. How about that?
As the last game that we're going to pick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Here's
what a barn
treat for
burner.
you.
If what's his name ain't dancing in the backfield, the Steelers will be all over him. I got the Steelers in this one.
Tarik?
Yeah, I got the Steelers here as much as I don't want to pick them for anything. Steelers.
Brady?
Steelers. Justin Fields is not the quarterback that I thought he was going to be.
I think Justin Fields shows some awesome qualities, but I think it's the whole organization that's a problem, not just him. Steelers, unfortunately.
I think that hit the mark.
Well, folks, that's it for us this week. Week 9 wrapped up for us. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. Tell us in the comments how we're wrong. Tell us in the comments how pretty we are. But that's it from us this week. I'm Brady.
I'm Jess.
I'm Tarik.
And I'm Sam.
And you have yourself a fantastic football week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.